Okay, so Batman Arkham Shadows is a game I've been anxiously anticipating for the better part of around 4 months. And I have to say that almost everything about this game seems fabricated to give the fans exactly what they don't want. For example, it's releasing on one VR headset, there's been no Arkham content besides Suicide Squad of all things for nearly a decade, and the whole gimmick of this being a VR title was just disappointing for many fans including myself. The following months since its initial reveal trailer has been filled with teases, details from developers, and gameplay screenshots that has turned the discourse around the game into one of excitement and anticipation. And with the gameplay reveal that dropped 4 days ago, I think it's pretty safe to say that this may be one of the most ambitious VR games ever made, due to realizing a dream I and many others have had for years, and that's what a Batman Arkham game would look like in VR. And that's not me dunking on the 2016 VR game, I still love that just as much as anybody else. Batman Arkham Shadows seems to be delivering that dream and realizing everything fans loved about the series. In this title, we're going to quite literally become the Batman by soaring the skies, beating the shit out of thugs, solving crimes, and engaging in a campaign where we stop the Rat King. The premise is absolutely amazing from the promises and expectations set by this trailer, and I simply can't wait to see what Rocksteady has been cooking up recently. Now, to discuss what this trailer shows us and what we should expect from this game both in story and gameplay. The story in this game specifically is insanely interesting to me as it's a sequel to Arkham Origins, my personal favourite Arkham game. In Shadows, it's quite implied that we're going to see the origins of all of our favourite supervillains, the big three being Two-Face, Harley Quinn, and Scarecrow. The idea of seeing these villains specifically is really exciting because we're hopefully going to see a different angle to these characters and witness who they used to be before they became Gotham's greatest foes. It's also up to speculation that we're going to see quite a number of villains that could appear in Arkham City style side missions, which honestly might be the most exciting addition to this game because we're going to quite literally be flying all over Gotham, hunting down criminals and solving crimes by interacting with the environments and involving ourselves in the city in a more immersive way. However, due to the smaller map we're going to be seeing, I think it's very likely we're going to be seeing a handful of villains at most, not the 20 plus villains we see in Arkham Knight and games like that. Just to touch on the combat, it looks awesome, with the gameplay being perfectly translated into VR. However, I still have no idea just how this is gonna work. Look, I know this is a 100% me issue here, but I'm definitely gonna have difficulties learning this gameplay because it looks quite challenging. The way you move around, engage with enemies, and lurk around in stealth looks like there's gonna be quite a learning curve, and I think that's awesome. Because my biggest issue with the last Arkham VR game was that it felt too stationary and automated, besides how excellent of a VR experience that game was. Shadows attempts to fix this by giving us the mobility and depth required to let us truly become the Dark Knight. And the biggest excitement that comes with the combat is the potential of boss fights. I can only really imagine how awesome it would be to battle Batman's greatest foes in VR. Bosses such as Man-Bat, Scarecrow, and the Mad Hatter specifically would translate really well in my opinion due to their psychological horror gimmicks those characters have in this series. And for the more engaging and physical encounters, we could have Deadshot, Poison Ivy, or Clayface that give us the variety and challenge of battling different foes that test our skills in unique ways. I seriously hope we get another Mad Hatter set piece in VR because this character has always been my favourite in this series. The main thing that excites me the most about Arkham Shadows is how they want to deliver another game that's more grounded and claustrophobic in the realms of Arkham Asylum. If you ask me personally, Asylum is probably the most underrated and successful game in the series when it comes to atmosphere and pacing. I honestly have no idea why I'm so addicted to this game, and I even made a video if you're curious about my thoughts, here's a link if you're interested. However, the fact that this game is so grounded really tells me a lot about what Shadows could be, which equally excites and worries me. See, on one hand, the idea of a linear VR game where we get some light exploration and the potential of a few side missions really does excite me and gets me amped for the release. However, the fact that this is a grounded VR game worries me with the potential of this being a really short game. Many VR games seem to have this issue where they end as soon as they get going. Sometimes these kind of games just aren't long enough to add the needed depth to their mechanics or deliver a satisfying story in its limited runtime. If Arkham Shadows is between at least 6 and 8 hours, I think that would be plenty of time to build an engaging combat system, with some light skill trees and maybe the same amount of gadgets we saw in Asylum. I don't think that's too unreasonable to ask, if you ask me. It's also a little bit of a shame to know that traversal isn't really going to be as much of a focus in this game as I would like, because the game just doesn't have the scale to give us an awesome traversal system. But on the other hand, I have to praise the fact that we're getting something that isn't entirely linear. You can still go around and explore the map, it's just not going to be as big as you'd like it to be. The most curious part of Arkham Shadows, in my opinion, is the story, because people are still sour on the abomination we saw earlier this year, and rightfully so. The Suicide Squad story is absolute fucking garbage. Most of the writing team from the Arkham trilogy is gone, which has rightfully hindered people's expectations. However, I think it's pretty likely we're gonna have a safe story with low stakes along some really awesome set pieces and characters. The voice cast is obviously going to be as fantastic as ever, with most of the Origins cast reprising their roles in this sequel, which is so fucking exciting. Arkham Origins easily had some of the best performances in the entire series, and I can't wait to see what some of the new characters like the Rat King are going to be bringing to this series. My predictions for the story is that we're going to see a more matured and intelligent Batman, who's less arrogant and cold. Somewhere along the lines of where we see him in the trilogy, however not quite there completely. He's going to be imperfect. For the villains, I'd like to see them all thoroughly explored and examined in a way that really helps us understand their motivations and why they embarked on the path of villainy in the first place. They could do a lot of interesting things here, which is exciting because the main character we're going to be seeing that relates to this theory is Harvey Dent. Also, the use of psychological horror has to feature in this game to complement the gritty atmosphere of the world they set up in these trailers, which brings a lot of interesting opportunities like challenging Bruce on what it means to be Batman by watching all of his friends and allies slowly turn into foes, which would perfectly challenge his ideologies on teamwork and alliance that he was so against in Origins. The story of Arkham Shadows has a lot of potential, and from what I can see, they've made it a prime focus this time, so let's just hope they can deliver. In conclusion, Arkham Shadows has a lot of potential, and that's coming from someone who has played a lot of VR releases over the years. I'm literally going to be playing Blades and Sorcery after I finish recording this. This game truly looks like something special that could maybe even be the new Half-Life Alyx when it comes to pushing this type of technology, and proving that VR is more than a gimmick, something I've been trying to convince people for years. However, it is a little bit of a bummer that most people interested in this game can't play it. It's a Quest 3 exclusive, and for the life of me, I have no fucking idea why they decided to do this. It's one thing to make an Arkham game VR, but having it exclusive to one platform is just insane to me. Hopefully you guys on PC can play this soon, and hopefully this game marks the redemption of Rocksteady instead of their ultimate funeral. Anyways, what do you guys want to see in Arkham Shadows? Are you excited? Are my ideas really far-fetched, or did you guys have some of the same theories and anticipations? Let me know in the comments, don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day. Take care.